All right, so Stuart, for a few minutes, let's talk about lighting in the church.
Okay.
I think one of the first big questions we get is, should all my lights be LED? Or maybe what is even an incandescent light? What is an incandescent light?
Sure. Well, you've got a couple different technologies going on. And LED would be like the newer technology. It's got the little, they're not even really bulbs anymore.
No, they're
it's
technically diodes.
Diodes, yeah. And so they don't get hot. Ish.
As hot, yeah.
As hot. They last significantly longer.
Right.
You can do some cool things, like if you have like a ellipsoidal, like what you would think of like a theater light. You know, you can actually do like some colors without gels and stuff instead of like an old light which is just a light that lights up and then you got to put stuff in front of it. Now with LEDs, you can do different things.
And those are always really hot. You know, you had the old incandescent theater lights, and you'd put the gel in front of it. And after like a few months, the gel's totally burnt through. I mean, this is totally super hot. But we walk into a lot of churches that have a traditional incandescent theater lighting system. Sometimes we leave it in place.
Yeah.
We'll just change the bulbs. We'll clean it out. We'll tune it up. We'll focus it. But there are some major advantages to going to LED. But one big thing you want to think about, tech directors, is you cannot just plug an LED bulb into an incandescent fixture. Not compatible. And especially if you've got an old theatrical system with what are called dimmer packs. So the dimmer pack's actually what provides the power to the incandescent light. Those are oftentimes not compatible. And you want to be careful because some dimmer packs will have this always on feature.
Yeah.
So people think, oh, if I just lock the dimmer pack open, always on, I can plug an LED driver into it. And that does work. But a lot of manufacturers will tell you that's not best practice, and eventually it's going to burn your LED out, make it slower. So what you can do in a lot of cases is just have an electrician come in.
Yeah.
And most of the time, like, they can retrofit. Because the other crazy thing is it used to be we had to provide 300 amp service panels just for the lighting.
Yep.
And now a really good LED system we can run on a couple 20s.
Yeah.
So usually you can do that retrofit. Definitely look into it. Some also, if you've got like a big lighting system in your kind of more auditorium style church, if it's a name brand ellipsoidal, they may have an LED retrofit. So you can keep the same lens tube and everything. You just swap out the back end. I will say, if you're wondering about that, obviously contacting a company like us can help, or you can actually contact your lighting manufacturer directly. They've got a lot of great information on that.
Yeah.
And when it comes to control, we get a lot of questions. What kind of lighting control do I need? Do I need something super fancy, something small? And I always say, you know, buy what you need as far as control. So if you're just running a few LED fixtures, or maybe you still have some traditional incandescents, a basic $150 DMX controller is going to do pretty much everything you need.
If you're automating or something, you might need some sort of software.
A little more heavy lifting.
Or something like that.
Yeah, so like we're big fans of Jans Vista. That's a great software program. The cool thing is, again, tech directors, you can download it to your computer today. It's free to download, and then they use their own proprietary dongle to unlock it. But and you got to get the DMX to USB converter, and they have some control surfaces. But I will say Jans Vista is a little intimidating to the basic lighting person. There's a little bit of front end, so I think light keys also become pretty popular. And
so there's everything in between. You got a little small analog, couple faders, up to some sort of software, and then everything in between. They even kind of merge the two, where you've got controllers and software, or the software's in the controller. It's pretty much sky's the limit. You just have to kind of determine what do you want to do. Are you wanting to kind of set it and forget it? Okay, maybe something small. If you're wanting to like automate stuff into ProPresenter or into your tracks or whatever, well, then you might need something a little more complicated.
When a lot of churches are concerned, they're like, I need a split system. I need to be able to run it from like a computer, and I also need dummy switches at the doorways. That's totally doable nowadays. There's a lot of options, but these are kind of the questions where it's usually better to bring a lighting integrator in. Exactly. Somebody who's going to have a little bit of skill. The other thing about lighting that I see in churches is they'll just buy fixtures from everywhere, from Amazon and they all come from China, or most of them do. But they'll buy all these kind of hodgepodge fixtures, and then a lot of times, like, we'll get called in to tune the systems, and we'll be like, man, none of these fixtures play nice together. Whereas if you had gone with a lighting plan, you could have purchased all your fixtures very intentionally. It's just, it can be a little easier in the long run. I know it's tempting to buy the really cheap LEDs, and if that's all you can afford, go for it. But like, sometimes it's worth spending the extra $25 per fixture to get a better fixture.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, they're just laid out better. They're easier to control. Like, we've had a lot of fixtures that we've had to like go figure out
Or build a profile for
Yeah,
it.
we had to, because it just didn't exist. It wasn't,
Yep.
it's like a knockoff of a real fixture, which is fine. Again, if that's what you can afford, go for it. But
Yeah.
it's going to add a lot of programming.
Sure.